Welcome to part 5 in the little ADD minute series here. It's a good drink, I recommend it. Bananas, chocolate, and coffee. It's awesome. Long story short. Longest story ever short. No. But let's get back into what I was saying. To recap, it was about the fruits. You don't gather grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles. And then I went into the tares and the wheat. Basically, the wheat's going to be gathered into the barn. You know, I guess I have to recap the whole story unless you watched the first 3. But, you know, it's like as if you had a garden and you planted inside it some tomatoes and all that. And you went out in the morning, and along with the tomatoes were little sprigs of weeds and thorn bushes and, you know, crabgrass or whatever. And your gardener comes and says, "Hey, didn't you plant tomatoes and cucumbers and good stuff?" You're like, "Yeah, of course I did." And they're like, "Oh, yeah, my enemy did this. My neighbor who hates my guts always says he's going to sabotage my garden." So then you look, and your gardener say, "Hey, do you want me to pull up these weeds and get them out of there?" No, they're just little sprigs at this point. And if you do, you're going to end up ripping up my tomatoes and my cucumbers and, you know, whatever else I have that's going to be great this fall to harvest. You say, "No, let them grow up together, and in the end, I'm going to take my tomatoes and I'll put them in the, you know, the canning jars and make some spaghetti sauce or whatever with them, and the thorns and thistles, we'll just separate them and burn them." And Jesus said the same thing. It was wheat and tares. Tares is crazy because if you look at a tare, it almost resembles a wheat head, but you can't eat it. It's like poison. It probably would kill your cows and make everybody sick. So this all tied into the false teachers. How do you tell the false prophet? Because one of the main signs of the last days was the fish oil salesman. Some of them are obvious. "Hey, come join my cult. Put on the Nikes with the swoosh. And when the comet goes by, we'll all jump on board." Might be a cult. Or, "Hey, nobody can marry the women but me, and I sleep with them all." Cult. "Hey, come live in the jungle with me, separate from society, and follow my new religion." Cult. "Hey, worship me. I am the Christ and the Antichrist." Hurts when you even say those words, but we've had people in our generation like crazy doing that. How do you tell a true teacher from a false teacher? Number one, if you're a Christian and they deviate from the scriptures, because Jesus said, you know, heaven and earth will pass away, my words will not pass away. We got a straight, awesome path to walk in. But the thing is, he said you'll know them by their fruits, okay? And he said it was the tares, and he said it was the wheat. The wheat, he said, his servants would gather it and throw it into bundles into the barn. You know, if you worked around the haying area, I grew up in New York, and the main product, it's not rap music, it's not whatever you think it is, it's milk. Look it up. The number one export of New York State is dairy milk. Gotcha on that one, huh? Little trivia crack answer for those of you that play trivia crack. So I grew up running up in hay fields and throwing it into barns and all that, and it would be a terrible thing. Can you imagine how much of an economic loss it would be to someone if someone just hated another farmer and planted a bunch of tares or weeds out in his field? And, you know, you'd say, all right, at the end, don't hurt it now because you could hurt my wheat harvest, you know, but just let it grow together and we'll separate the wheat from the tares. So let's get some dig into some key ingredients here. In other words, Jesus knows the false prophets. He knows the people that are selling the snake oil. He knows the people that are the false prophets. And he's like, let them grow up together. But in the end of the age, it's going to be separated out. And what was one of the defining factors of separating out the false from the true? And he said, by their fruit you'll know them. So then he goes into his last day tirade thing. He says, at the end of the age, I'm going to separate the righteous from the wicked, like a shepherd separates his sheep on one side and his goats on the other. You know, you heard those sayings, separate the sheep from the goats. You got a large group of people, well, we got to take our good ones over here and our bad ones over here on the left hand. And what was the defining factor? Who was getting to go over here and be sheep and who was goats? And he laid out this thing, and I taught on it on another message I had called The Challenge. And it all goes back to your fruits. And your fruits are, he said, I was sick and I was hungry. You didn't feed me. I was naked or in prison and you never visited me. I was thirsty and you never even gave me a drink. And he's saying that to the wicked, you know. And to the righteous, he's saying, I was hungry and you fed me. I was naked and you clothed me. I was sick and I was in prison and you visited me. And it says the righteous will look to him and they're going to say, Lord, when were you ever sick or in prison and we visited you? When were you thirsty and I gave you something to drink, or naked and I clothed you? And he'll say, when you did it to the least of these, my brethren, you did it to me. And then he'll turn to the wicked and they'll say, when were you in sick or in prison? We didn't visit you, and so on and so forth. And he says, when you did not do it to the least of these, you weren't doing it to me. So when you saw that guy on the side of the street, you didn't judge him. You gave him a bologna sandwich and a thing of water, or shared your little bit of lunch. Or that dude was in prison and you were moved with compassion. You didn't judge him and you visited him and led him to a better path in life. Or someone was thirsty, you know, and you gave him a drink of water, a little child. Jesus said you did it to them, you did it to me. So there's two groups of people here. Because it says, didn't we prophesy in your name? Didn't we cast out demons in your name? Didn't we do great wonders in your name? And he's like, depart from me, I never knew you. It's not building the crystal cathedrals. Believe it or not, the architect who designed the Oxford Monastery or Grand Cathedral in Oxford, England, or St. Paul's Cathedral, or painted the Da Vinci artwork, oh, they're going to heaven because they did that. No, they're not. The guy that gave the homeless little boy a sandwich outside the church, he's probably going to heaven. But the guy that built the Crystal Cathedral, and the architect, and had mass media technology, 1,000 followers, and he got on his Learjet every day and flew over the poor masses and laughed at him as he fattened his bank account, probably not going to heaven. Oh, he prophesied in Jesus' name. He did many wonders in Jesus' name. He might even cast out some demons in Jesus' name. But he had not love. Okay? So the defining factor of a Christian is love. Alright? So that's how you tell the true prophets from the false prophets. And also, if they prophesy something to you and it doesn't come true, don't follow them. Like, oh, I counted the 8 days of the earth and matched up with the pyramid. The world's ending in 1814. It doesn't happen. Or if they tell you to drink the Kool-Aid, use common sense. This is the concise conclusion of like the 4-part video series. Tune in next time. Thank you for watching. Be alert. Be alive. Pray.